Why do you build me up, buttercup babe? Amanda Stein, you win for being the first one. And Nick Russo. Nick Russo and this is team, what was it, 990? Back in the day already. Amanda, who's working for the New Jersey Devils right now, and Nick, I'm not sure what Nick's doing, but hi Nick. Hi Amanda, thanks for the smile. We normally play music at the beginning, but I kind of can't play music. Just stay with me. We're gonna have a real cool guest up next. This is pretty awesome. David Buchanan. We have to talk. David wants to do one of these as well. Yes. Hello, PJ. Hi, David Buchanan. Nick Russo, Violetta. Harley's already jumped on, so I'll kind of speed through this quickly because Harley's there. So normally we come on with music and give you guys a song. We're in the midst of building like our little music repertoire, and we'll kind of put it up. But what we're kind of dealing with, a couple of weeks ago, I had Sean Corrali on from the Boston Bruins, and we actually were playing Thunderstruck. And we went to put it on the IGTV after, and they wouldn't allow us because we're not allowed to play pop music. Our next guest, I know, was a huge hip hop fan and has worked with some amazing artists. And I was going to come on and play one of his artist songs, but I was too worried about losing this amazing interview to the IGTV world, which we're not allowed to play any music on. I'm super proud of Canadians who go on to do and have lots of success somewhere else. Our next guest is exactly that. He's one of the elite few in his field. He's started off as a trainer, born in Toronto, and around 18 years old, he was already training professional athletes. Trained Dougie Gilmore, Kirk Muller, Leaf Days, obviously, in Toronto. And a lot of movies are actually filmed in Toronto. So they're filmed in Toronto when the cast and crew comes in. It's pretty cool to see, but you'll get they're in for a week, they're in for a month, they're in for a year, and they always try and find gyms or trainers to come in and train the cast and crew. And Harley was one of those elite guys that was selected to help train cast and crews, and he did it for a bunch of years. And I think his biggest break happened in 2003 in Montreal. They were filming a movie called Gothica, and Robert Downey Jr., Penelope Cruz, and Halle Berry were the bigger names on the movie. And he created quite a bond with Robert Downey and Halle Berry. And post that movie, Halle Berry and Robert convinced him to move to California and bring his skill set to LA. And that's exactly what he did. In 2004, he actually helped. It was Catwoman, and it was an amazing story, and it was brought up by how amazing Halle Berry looked as Catwoman in her cat suit. And a lot of success obviously goes to Halle Berry, the individual, but a lot of success to how she got to where she got to. And it went to her trainer. So the trainer from Toronto goes to LA. The success leads to having him on Oprah to now Stock Talk. It's an amazing circle. It is. And I'm sure excited about being on Stock Talk as he is when he was on Oprah. So, Harley, thanks a ton for doing this, man. Very much appreciated.
How are you?
Are we eating? Is it dinner time?
I got the apple going.
Yeah, I have a lime. I have a lime going.
What do you got, the tequila?
I got a little tequila. I know you're not a huge drinker, so I made it big enough for me to drink for both of us. Like, what a crazy ride. We talked a little bit earlier today. What a crazy story. 18 years old, you're training a couple of professional athletes, and it leads to a movie, to another movie, to Halle Berry. Like, that's pretty wild story.
Well, it's a lot of being at the right place at the right time and being lucky and having people that believe in you and help you along the way. And I've been lucky. And every day I wake up, I think, hey, if it's all over today, it was a great ride.
How did you get to where you are, though? Like, you got picked up, yes, but how does you got to play the game?
Yeah.
But what is that game in the personal trainer world?
A big part of it is not being good enough at hockey to make a living at hockey. My wife was asking me beforehand. I said, she said, "What are you doing now?" And I told her what I'm doing, who I'm doing it with, and she said, "Well, when did you ever think that you wouldn't be able to be a professional hockey player?" And I remember the day I was playing. I made the Toronto All-Star team, like of all the best
Sure.
teams in
Yeah.
Toronto. And I went and we played. I think we played Quebec. Oh no, we played some team from Quebec. And I was a big fish in a little pond, and I was a leading scorer in my league and the whole thing. And then I remember stepping out for my first shift in the All-Star game and getting leveled about 3 strides out from the bench and getting back up and getting leveled about 3 strides again. I
There's
just said, I better do really well in school.
there's not that's actually not often too many people from Ontario say that a player from Quebec actually hit them. So that's a good moment for some of us here. And we talked earlier, you're not a huge hockey fan anymore.
I mean, I love hockey. It's my heart. Because I can't play it, I got injured when I was playing in hockey in college, and I tore my adductors, tore both my groin muscles, and then I got a hernia from it, and I can't skate anymore. So I just get heartbroken watching it because I want to skate so badly.
What how was it? You go into the trainer, you study this. A couple hockey players, it's easy because we all talk that same language. But now you're working with actors and entertainers, and you go through the movie thing. But now you're with Halle Berry, and it's Halle Berry. How's it like you telling her like, no, you're doing it all wrong. You got to do it this way. Like, how do you tell Halle that she's completely wrong in what she's doing?
It's not really about telling someone you do something wrong. I think when I came up, personal trainer wasn't a career. No one chose to do that as a career. It's a stepping stone. If you're a bouncer at a nightclub, you make a few bucks during the day. As a trainer, back when I was doing it, there was a lot of exotic dancers, women that wanted day jobs, and so then they looked fit and they were teaching women in the gym. But I ended up spending 10 years in university, so I did degrees in exercise physiology, nutrition. I went to graduate school, and then I was working towards my PhD at University of Toronto, and I got recruited by the military, and I ended up being a nutrition and exercise scientist for the Department of National Defense. And so I had a training business during that time. And when a Hollywood actor would come up to town, their trainer in LA was some aspiring actor, whose a part-time job was a trainer. We're used to working with a Canadian, and B, somebody who really understood the science of it all. So Halle, who has diabetes, for me to have the background in nutrition and exercise physiology, both of my brothers have diabetes. So I knew very well what she was up against. And I think she was excited. She trusted me like she would trust her own physician. And that was new in the fitness world.
How old were you when you were working with Halle?
Well, I'm 21 now. So
yeah, it's just the lighting. The lighting's not doing you justice. You look 24.
Yeah. Well, I started working with Hollywood actors when I was about 19.
That's crazy.
So a lot of films that come to, because more films come to Ontario than Quebec. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I know.
I worked with Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus in The Passion. Yep. I worked with a bunch of other actors, but I would say I was probably 23 or 24 when Halle and Robert Downey hired me for Gothica in Montreal. And then at the time I worked with LL Cool J when I was there. And then Rachel Weisz and Mila Jovovich had me come down to LA on weekends and went on Oprah, and it blew up.
I didn't want to get to your list already, but like it is pretty cool. Like, I mean, you got to sit back now. We're the same age. And, I got to, from all of our friends, we grew up with a bunch of buddies that kind of like, we played hockey growing up and we never thought it'd lead to anything, but I got to play with, I got a picture over my shoulder of playing with Wayne Gretzky. It's like the people that we get to meet and really super cool stories. But I didn't want to bring up your list already, but you already dropped Ariana Grande, Adam Levine, Megan Fox, Jessica Simpson, Jimmy Fallon, LL Cool J, you mentioned, Gwyneth Paltrow, Nino Dobrev, Kanye West, Pusha T. Like, these are not like, you're all over the map. Like, it's not like, and not everyone's kind of built the same way. So
it's funny because when I moved to LA for Halle, and I was working with Alicia Keys at the time, and then I was working with some other actresses, Nia Long and Sanaa Lathan, and then Rick Fox from the Lakers, and then Kanye.
Sure.
And what's interesting, and this was before the internet is what it is now, and there was no social media for the most part.
Great time.
And there was
great time.
a magazine in the U.S. called Essence magazine, which was a primarily African American magazine. And they saw every time they would talk to a black U.S. celebrity, they would say, "Oh, I work out with Harley. I work out with Harley." So they did an article years ago about Hollywood's black celebrity trainer. They never saw me. They don't know what I look like. They just assumed, because I had all my clients at the time were African American. And it was funny because when the article came out and I called the editor, I was like, "I'm so honored. Thank you. Have you ever seen me before? Have you seen a picture of me?" So it was funny.
And you looked 21 at that time, actually, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So, all right. The list is like, you named a basketball player on that list. We're going to talk about sports as the NHL is coming back. So is basketball. So are a bunch of sports. We'll get to that first, but I'm still fixated on the celebrity stuff, the entertainment stuff, like how people have to get ready from a movie. They just went from having a look as a thicker person, and then for the next movie they have to be a thinner person or a different body or along in a lean. Like, you work with Jimmy Fallon, and then you're also working with Rick Fox. Like, it's a completely different scope. Actors, entertainers, whatever. Who is the hardest group to work with?
I would say French Canadians, hands down. There's no,
Yeah. You know what, though? You are right. You are.
Because they just can't go to bed before 4 a.m.
Wow.
And that poutine just can't. No, honestly, I would say I'm very blessed because all the people I work with make their living based on how they look. So we've done almost 200 feature films now, and all those actors that we have to transform, they're more motivated than anybody in any other industry. So they don't miss sessions, and you don't have to call to wake them up in the morning. Everything they are, their identity, their income is based on them looking right for the role. So they're all motivated. They're not difficult to deal with in any way. I will tell you that hands down, early in my career, I worked mainly with athletes, and I decided not to work with athletes anymore because they were the most difficult to work with. There's some of them don't believe that you need to work out to be good at your sport, and they're not entirely wrong. You work out so you don't get hurt at your sport. And so a lot of them have just a natural gift that they were given that I was not given that gift. So I would say athletes have a lot of injuries, plus athletes are traveling. You only get them for part of the season. But musicians, pop stars, Rihanna, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Ariana, all these pop stars and actors, they're so motivated. They're not injured as much. And they know they need to do it.
Who's the hardest that you've had to get going? Like, who needs a kick?
People I work with?
Yeah, who needs a kick in the arse?
That I've worked with? Honestly, not. I mean, there's people who I've done 1 or 2 sessions. What I do before I start with everyone is we do this consultation. So we kind of make it not so easy to work with me. So first you got to track me down. You got to reach out to our office. Then I
dealt with that today. I know.
Yeah.
We got. He's training this. He's eating an apple. He's on the. He's doing that. He's here. We roped you in. We got you, and we got you for this. So thanks very much.
From you and I had a quick chat earlier. From the time you spoke to now, I've been busy doing Lego with my 4-year-old, and then doing painting with my 6-year-old. So busy, important stuff.
You know what's crazy? Because we're the same age. How stupid is the price of Lego now? Lego used to be you buy a bag of Lego, and now it's $100. You gotta buy you buy the Millennium Falcon. You used to make the Millennium Falcon. Now you can only buy the pieces, and it's like, remember the old kit cars we had to put together? Like that's.
Do you remember
Lego is?
Do you remember Meccano sets?
Yeah, Meccano. Yeah, sure.
I mean, we had screwdriver, nuts, and bolts, and there's electrical and motors, and it was great. But yeah, Legos. I think I just got my son some Lego thing. It probably was $4.99 back in the day, and now it's $49.99.
I know.
It's gone up tenfold.
Yeah, no, I gave my kid a rock to play with. I couldn't afford the Lego, or would.
No, it's they're all great. I would never. I work with a lot of foreign nationals as well, so a big part of my practice up until Corona, I travel a lot. So I do most of the Four Seasons hotel gyms around the world.
Right.
So I'm flying around. We got a great one in Montreal, by the way.
Actually, for those that don't know, you tell me what you do for the Four Seasons. Exactly. You design them?
I'm a global advisor for fitness. So I design almost all their fitness amenities, and do the procurement and design. And so that's been a lot of fun, just because Four Seasons is a Canadian brand, and it's near and dear to my heart. The corporate headquarters are a couple blocks away from my parents live, and you can see that Four Seasons flag actually from my parents' house. And so that's nice to go around the world, no matter where you are and how far away you are from home. There's a Canadian flag over every single Four Seasons hotel. So I've been in some weird places, in the middle of Saudi Arabia in Riyadh, and like a fish out of water, and there's a Canadian flag flying. So it makes you feel nice.
You get some pull though. Like, listen, I design a gym, send up a free poutine. Like, do you ever like work your magic? Like when you show up, or you're like, hey man, I'm the gym guy. Send up some food. I don't care what time it is. I want it up. And I'm not paying the 15% tax plus the 13% service plus the extra tip line. I want it and send it up now. I did the gym.
So when you travel, a lot of the hotels, especially internationally, they have a buffet set up for breakfast, a buffet for lunch, and then a buffet for dinner. And especially in the Middle East, I have about 20 projects right now in the Middle East. And when I go over there, it's Indian food, it's Middle Eastern food, and then Italian food. And by the time your plate's full of a blend of those three, it all tastes the same, and it's rough. It's tough. You really miss home.
Well, yeah. Well, parts of your body miss home, right?
Yeah.
Parts.
Yeah.
Who's the best in the gym?
Man, Adam Levine. He's in phenomenal shape. Charlie Puth. He's been great lately. Common, the hip hop artist Common's been really great. There's times where I traveled for years with Kanye. He's not a runner. I'm not a runner, but we'd go out and we'd have some local guide who's a marathoner take us to see a thing. And all of a sudden, when he starts talking, he just takes off, or he starts writing an album in his head, and he just takes off. And you're just standing there a mile behind him, and he's still singing. He's great. We've kayaked and biked and run around the world, hiked. We went hiking in Hawaii once up the side of this old volcano, and we're in it, and we're having a deep conversation, and then there's a sign that says danger minefield. So it was an old military base that we ended up being through, and there was a minefield, and everywhere you step you got to watch it. So everyone's great. For Alicia Keys, everyone's been great. Everyone is really motivated and great in gym.
That's pretty. Think of the names you just mentioned. Like, it's pretty awesome. Like, you're a kid from Toronto that just mentioned, and those names are like my kids. I have 4 kids, and my daughter has some questions that I got to ask you later on about a lot of stuff. But I mean, you just named every kid's idol in the world, and you're working with them. And I can tell you're also a part-time dentist because of all the plaques you got behind you, right? Those are all your. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
You're is that what you do? On the side, you're a dentist?
Yeah, I'm a dentist, exactly.
Those are all, how many years of school you said?
Over 10. I'm a product of the Canadian university system. I went to University of Western Ontario, and actually I went to school with Ruchin, who went on to win a Stanley Cup.
Sure.
And
Anaheim.
Yeah, and then I went to York University and then University of Toronto for grad school, and I did some post-grad work in upstate New York. Okay. And I don't stop. I still teach at the universities. So
this completely off topic, and I don't want anyone to get offended by this, but it's an honest question because I have kids, and I get asked this question all the time. I went to St. Francis Xavier in Nova Scotia, a Canadian school. I love the Canadian system as well. We have some great schools that aren't. Look what you're doing, a Canadian product. All the kids growing up think they have to go to an American university now. Every athlete that is like growing up, because we watch Notre Dame football. I wanted to go to Notre Dame. I was like, as a kid, I wanted a scholarship. That's what it was back then. But we didn't know what we can get today. And look, I mean, you went to all this stuff, and it's not as if, okay, you're going to school here, we're not going to teach you that. It's just the reputation, and it's, you know, if there's a kid watching right now that's in their head is like, I have to go to an American university. Is there anything you'd say?
I would say why. You know, the U.S. I'm grateful. I've been given a dual citizenship, so now
Yes.
I'm Canadian and American, and a lot of what I have is because of America, and I'm grateful for the United States. My kids are born here, and I'm very, very appreciative to be here. But America is a land of extremes. They have some of the most highly regarded schools in the world, and without a doubt, some of the worst schools in the world. Some incredible hospitals and some of the worst hospitals and worst doctors in the world. And it's really about extremes, and it's about brands, and it's about branding. Canada, you know, there's no bad universities in Canada. There's no bad medical schools in Canada. The easiest medical school to get to in all of Canada is probably would be amongst the hardest medicals to get into in the U.S. When I was growing up, my best friend is a physician in Canada. He's one of the smartest guys you ever met. He could have gone to Harvard, he could have gone to Princeton, he could have gone to Yale, he could have gone anywhere, ended up going to school in Canada. And what's interesting is the respect that Americans have for Canadian academics, Canadian professionals, Canadian physicians. It's a massive demand. When you come down here with a Canadian background, there's a level of trust that Americans have. And I think that's a big part of why I've been successful. Americans really respect, revere, and appreciate and trust, more than anything, trust Canadians. And that's gotten me a long way.
Who's someone that you've had to work with that we talked about how many great people there are. And you don't want to say anything bad, but it's just my mom watching. Who's someone that you like, come on, just give me something. Like, this is just, I owned a gym in Montreal for a bit, and I had a couple of professional hockey players that were common names. Just give me something. Like, come on.
Wait, someone who's fun or not good?
No, someone that is, you got to kick their ass all the time. You got to, like I said, 5 push-ups. You did 4. Come on, Kanye.
No joke. I'm being dead serious. There is a level of, I'm going to use the word narcissism, and a level of insecurity amongst entertainers that are judged by how they look. And the better they look, the more roles they get, the more endorsements they get. Sure. So really, I'm being dead serious. I don't have to motivate. In fact, I don't believe that people can be motivated or need to be motivated, because every human being, human nature, everyone wants to look better, feel better, move better, have more. That's human nature. What gets in the way between our motivation and our action, now that's something different. So what I bring to the table is I say, look, I'm going to make this the most painless for you. I'm going to take less of your time than ever. I'm going to make food simple for you, tastes good, easy to prepare. So I help bridge the gap between people's existing motivation and their action. And that's what I think I do well. I don't motivate people. I think everyone's already motivated. That being said, Sharon Stone's not very nice. I gotta say it. She's not nice.
It's okay, but okay.
Not nice.
She's not nice. There's a lot of people that aren't nice. By the way, I put my head aside before because I wanted them to see. Mariana Life and Food wrote in. People have been writing stuff up. My friend Jeff wants to know if you can come to St. Lazare and coach a miracle. No, but Mariana Life and Foods wrote in before how great of a motivation you've been during quarantine.
That's very sweet.
That's very sweet. Yeah, so there are obstacles, and like going to this is where I it's a big thing now with kids and with entertainers, and there are obstacles, lots of obstacles. I can tell you what to do, but if you're not fully 100% engaged, you're not going to get the full 100% benefit of it. So let's just say some of us drink.
You know, everyone has a crutch. No one's going to be perfect 100% of the time. Now, if I said you've got a role coming up in 3 weeks, you're going to be naked for the role, and that role, that film footage is going to be there forever, and you want to look your best. And it's not just about looking your best, but it's about confidence, feeling like you're looking great, feeling like you did everything you could to be great for that moment, then I would say don't drink alcohol, and until you've got that shot done.
Question: is it a frontal or a backal? Because that's so I'm gonna need the alcohol if it's a frontal. Like, and
we'll
no
get a
air
body
conditioning.
double for you. We'll get a body double for you.
No,
Yeah.
no air conditioning. I need it. Yeah. So,
I'll never forget. We did what was that movie Jason Segel did with Paul Rudd? I Love You, Man.
I love.
I love you, man. No, Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
No,
I'm sorry.
forgetting. I was gonna say, forgetting
And we got Jason
Sarah
in great
Marshall.
shape. We got him to lose weight, and he had this big nude scene in the movie. And when they were finished shooting it, he texted me. He's like, "Man, I got to say, I feel great. I lost weight. Thank you so much. I just wish we could have made my penis bigger."
Yes, I was gonna say that. Like, you worked. So how do you convince a buddy to do a nude scene? Actually, this you brought this up. I have all these other workout questions, but you brought up nude scene in movies. And it's like the weirdest thing if you're married, have a girlfriend or whatever, but you have to, and you're naked.
I would not be cool with my wife doing a love scene in a movie or TV show, and she wouldn't be cool with me doing it. So I don't know. It's just, I think it's a loophole if you're in a relationship and you're an entertainer. You're like, it's work. I got to do it.
And I got to practice.
And I got to, I've been on set where, if you look up Monsters Ball when Harley won the Oscar,
Sure.
I can't speak to it, but you can probably Google what happened on set with Billy Bob.
Billy Bob. I was gonna say Billy Bob.
Yeah, he went all the way doing that scene. He was a real, he was in character, and he finished. I don't know how to put it. Anyways, you Google it. You'll hear how that scene went.
Yeah,
and Hallie was
it's an
not very
unbelievable
happy.
scene, though. It's yeah. And if you're 18 and under, don't Google it. Just
No.
for the record.
Yeah.
So speaking of 18 and under, no, back to obstacles.
Yeah.
As some people have obstacles. Food is something that you believe that's your life. You wrote books about it. You did 4 or 5 bestsellers on the New York bestseller list. 7?
7.
I was going to add them up. I wasn't done. I was going to keep going. Yeah.
I've written as many books as probably as many penalty minutes as you average per game.
Yeah. Yeah. Or times I touch the puck. So, where are you? You think food is life, pretty much, right?
Food is so important. If food talks about who we are, food talks about where we live, it talks about our culture, it determines our health, how long we live in this world. So I think food is essential. Exercise, you could go 4 days without exercising. You can't really go 4 days without water and food as well. So food is essential, and it's a really exciting part of the story to tell. Yeah.
What's your thought on fad diets?
Boy, I used to collect all the fad diet books. People would send me. I had a library in my office of everything from South Beach Atkins, Pritikin, Keto, Zone, you name it. And a lot of them, look, every single diet, for the most part, works for a short while for some people. Everything. When people tell me that they've been doing the cookie diet, the cabbage diet, the lemon drop diet, the anything
Tequila diet?
You could probably lose weight with the tequila diet for a very short period of time. And but the question is, as a parent like you are, when people talk about fasting, right, and only eating 1 meal a day, would you want your kids to eat like that? So I always turn it around to people when they say, "Oh, I want to take this weird supplement. Would you give it to your kids?" Or, "I want to cut out carbs altogether. I'm not going to eat carrots or red pepper. It's too much sugar." Would you want to tell your kids they shouldn't eat carrots? Is that bad for them? Well, no. No. So why wouldn't you eat carrots?
So we have kids watching.
Yeah.
We have a wide range, and that's I try and tell. It's hard to tell your kids, your friends' kids, your whatever. These diets are all ridiculous, but you're a guy that lives it, and your words are don't like your food is food. Use it as like how do you tell a kid not to do that?
It comes back to and it does, and I mentioned it before, and yes, I'm very proud of being Canadian, but I think it's a Canadian mentality. Canada is really about sensitivity, sensibility, moderation, kind of avoiding the highs and the lows. It runs down the middle, and a lot of nutrition products that were big in the US were never allowed in Canada, you know? And there's a reason for that, is that we wait, you know, there's a lot of COVID testing happening in the US. There's a lot of antibody tests.
Right.
And we've had them the whole time, and it's a big deal here in the US. Canada is just about to start antibody testing because Canada wanted to wait until everyone else tried it, and until they were a little more accurate, and until they were a little more reliable before they gave it to the citizens, because they wanted to play it safe. They wanted to sort of have a voice of sensibility. It's not about extreme philosophies in Canada, and really that's driven my philosophy of how I teach people about health and living and sleeping and eating and exercising. So that Canadian spirit guides me in how I operate my practice and how I deal with endorsement opportunities and how I deal with creating products. It's really about, is this something I would give my kids? Is this something that is sound scientifically? Does the reward far outweigh the risk? Yeah.
I know there's a little bit of a bounce back when I'm speaking here, so I don't know what's creating that.
I think it was my finger over the bottom of the phone.
Oh, was that? You know, we brought up the topic of kids for a quick second, and food is so important, but so are there. You know, when we were younger, we played everything. Yeah. Today, kids sport-specific train at such a young age. What's your thoughts on that?
Boy, you know, I think back to when we were young, and I remember watching the Russian hockey players and the Czech hockey players and the Chinese gymnasts in the Olympics. And that sort of was the beginning of it. You know, at a young age, the government determined what they were good at, and that's all they did, is just pick one activity and train for it 12 months a year, all the time. And I feel like now that there's so much money in sports, it's come full circle again, and people are really focusing on one. But I also remember growing up, I named my youngest kid after Bo Jackson because of so much of what he represented. You know, he was basically the best running back in football. He was one of the best power hitters and fielders in baseball. He was one of the greatest sprinters in college in the United States. He beat Carl Lewis in the 100-meter dash in the U.S. trials. And this idea of cross training, I think, made him better at all the sports, and also it allowed him fun and freedom and expression, and for him to choose what he wanted to do. So I'm not a big fan of driving kids to extremes in one little thing. I think they should really choose and allow them to do multiple activities.
You use the term cross. What's your thoughts on CrossFit?
I think anything that gets people excited about being physically active is positive. I think when people do extremes of anything, it can be detrimental. I think some people have really have had positive experience with CrossFit.
I know you're skating. I can see you skate right now.
I'm going to get to it. I also know that Gary, who was the head of CrossFit and started, is extraordinarily litigious. And I believe he admitted one time that for every $1 that he makes, he spends 30 cents suing people. So anybody who's ever spoken ill of CrossFit gets a lawyer's letter.
So you're worried?
No. He just got canned.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, can you sue me in Canada? Canada, we're okay, right?
Yeah, I'm not scared of that guy. That guy's, and plus, you can't be the head of a fitness movement when you're chubby and out of shape like he is. I mean, he's just a redneck.
Hold on. So, yeah. So I know. So what?
But anyways, that being said, I always when CrossFit came out, I always said, I'm so glad CrossFit didn't exist when I was 18, because I would have done it. I would have loved it. and I'd be in a wheelchair today.
Yeah.
And I think that says it all.
It does say it. I have a lot of kids sports up here. They recommend they do it, and I have a hard time as a parent telling your kid or the organization that they shouldn't be doing it. But it's something that they push and they want for kids to do this. There's sports specific training, and then they add in this. It's kind of two things that kind of don't always add up.
I did, I got all the degrees in exercise science and all the certifications in training people and the ACSM and the NSCAs and all that stuff. And at the end of the day, if you want to be better at skating, skate. You want to be better at being a pitcher at baseball, throw the ball. And I think too often we spend too much time in the strength room trying to increase the speed of a fastball and trying to skate faster. That's not how you improve those things. I think the strength room is about training the muscles that you don't use in your sport. So you create balance and you reduce your chance of injury. So, if a hockey player is doing tons of squats and leg presses, hockey players are all quads and glutes. They do not need more of that. They need to be training their hamstrings. They need to be training their glute medius, all the muscles that are important to reduce the chance of injury playing hockey, rather than loading up on leg press and pushing it even more.
Well, I didn't have to say it's a segue, but you just kind of did it. So Harley and I have been working together for a while. He did Oprah. It kind of didn't work out. He wanted to do the stock. So we segued to hockey. Hockey's back.
I'm looking at your jersey behind, and so my dad's from Montreal. Most of my family's from Montreal. I grew up, back in the day, Mats Naslund was my favorite player. And
Mats was my guy. We're the same age. Mats played left wing with Bobby Smith and was Mike McPhee on that line?
Mike McPhee. Was he 35?
35. Worst number in hockey.
Yeah, and Big Larry and Guy Carbonneau and that team for me, Steve Penny. That was the day. And then Rick Walmsley
came in after.
And then, Toronto, as a Toronto kid, we had the worst team in all of hockey back then. We had Rick Vive and we had Greg Terrian and Walt Podubny and, whoever else that Ballard could bring in for $5 a year. You guys had the team when I was a kid. But then in 92, 93, 93, 94, when we had Dougie and everyone else, it was a wrap.
Yeah, but 93, you want to bring up 93? Well, 93, Gretz and Dougie. Dougie gets the high stick. Wendell fights Marty McSorley.
That's right.
And then what happened? LA beats TO. LA plays Montreal in the playoffs. Desjardins hat trick on my boy Kelly Rudy.
That's right.
And the Habs win the cup. So
yeah, but it should have been Toronto because of that high stick. That was not. It
was a high stick. You can't stick Gretz in the head. Gretz, you okay? You can't stick Gretz in the head. It's just one of the rules. Like, look, see, we're hugging. I'm not high sticking him.
I'll never forget that. I think Dave Andreychuk played for Toronto back then. And when I used to watch Dave Andreychuk, I thought, you know what? I know I wasn't good enough ever to play hockey professionally, but I feel like I could have done what he did. Just plant myself in front of the net and just have a big ass and just screen the goalie and just take shots to my noggin and let it bounce in.
It was a time. That was a time though. Hockey's coming back. They have 3 weeks to get ready. If you were training these, what would you do? How do you get these guys ready in 3 weeks?
I would ramp them up gradually. You don't want to have them go all out the first week. I think, you don't want to get someone injured preparing for the season. I would have them skate. I would have them shoot. I'd have them do most on-ice stuff. Lots of recovery. Really important, the recovery part. We know more about recovery than we ever have. Lots of soft tissue work, lots of rest. I think more importantly is the social media, the technology, the blue light we get from our phones, our laptops, our tablets, the alerts. They play havoc with our adrenal glands, and I think that hurts us when we do sports, when we're burned out, when our heart's always high because we're always stimulated from technology. So I think an important part for all athletes is unplugging from technology for a period of time, from video games, from your phone, being present, reading. I think that's important.
Hold on. You just said get off your phone for, like, can I tell my kids this?
So I know your kids are a little older than mine.
I got, my son's just turned 18. I have a daughter, 16. I have 14 and 12. And see, and you're like, why do you drink? Well, now you know.
Yeah, I get that. 4 kids, boy,
Yeah.
I'd be 4 tequilas deep right now, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm on the way.
Yeah. So, with our kids, especially with COVID, it's tough. We have no family here in LA, and we have a deal with our kids where they can watch whatever they want as long as they're on a treadmill at 2 miles an hour. So we have 2 treadmills next to each other, and the kids want to watch something. They got the iPad already sitting on the treadmill, and they go in, and if we don't hear the treadmill, we're not supposed to hear the TV, and that's the deal.
I like that.
Yeah. Now they're young, so we can control them. But once they figure out that that's not normal, and none of their friends have to do that, we'll see what happens.
Once they realize that they can just put the remote on.
My wife just commented, Jess Pinack, she says they're on the treadmill right now. So as you and I are talking, they're on the treadmill right now.
You're right. I saw that. I just saw it. I don't want to keep you much more longer because the wife's already on the treadmill. So thanks for doing this. But you have 3 weeks to get the team ready. Leafs are a young team. I know you don't watch a ton of hockey.
Yeah.
Do your Leafs have a chance?
Toronto always has a chance. I mean,
as you said, you don't watch hockey, so you don't really know. So
I know. Okay. Listen, I know enough to know that Toronto always has a chance, especially to beat Montreal. That's a no-brainer.
Well, that is easier said than done because Montreal. Anyways, that's another story about how Montreal is in this year, but. Leafs have a chance to get in. Basketball's coming. You're in LA. Clippers or Lakers? Who's your team?
I'm a massive basketball fan. I think I showed you before. During the last recession, I bought the house next to my office and knocked it down to build a basketball court. And I traded basketball sessions with training sessions for Rick Fox. And, years ago, I was touring with Jay-Z and Kanye, and every time we would go to a different city, they'd arrange a basketball court, and everyone who'd worked on the tour would play. And I was a hockey player. Like, you're in my way, I'm going to knock you over. And if you have the ball, I'm going to knock you over. And if you don't fall over, I'm just going to punch you in the throat. So that's how I play basketball.
How was LL with that?
It did not go well. So there was a lot of games they had to stop. And at one point, they're like, man, we love you, but you can't play. You're so bad. And it was embarrassing as an athlete growing up to be told I couldn't play in the games. I took it seriously, and I got really into basketball, and now I'm a basketball fanatic. So I play, I watch Lakers and Clippers. I got to tell you, it's going to be exciting. It really comes down to who's going to get injured. It all is going to come down to who can be healthy.
Who's your favorite? How about this? I saw the doc on Jordan, which was great. LeBron, Kobe passing away in LA. I grew up watching at your age. We watch Magic and we watch Bird. Who's your favorite basketball player of all time?
Russell Westbrook.
What?
Without a doubt.
He's probably the most explosive.
I didn't say he's the best basketball player of all time.
He's your favorite.
He's my favorite because he doesn't take 1 second off. He treats every single play like it's the most important play in the history of the world.
And he's the only guy involved in every play. He doesn't know there's other players with him.
Every single play. That guy he's got a bigger heart than anyone I've ever seen in basketball. He's an MVP, scoring champion. He plays with an intensity in any sport. I don't remember any athlete in any sport that plays as hard every second like that guy does. Like his life depends on it.
Do you know him at all? Like, he's like, you're not winning with James Harden. You're not winning with your boy either. There's 4 other players. Yeah, they're awesome, individual talents, but you're not going to win unless you learn to suck 2 guys in and then dish the ball off. The 2 of those guys want to beat everyone every time, and they don't win. And they're on the same team.
For basketball fans out there, they've got a really interesting, brilliant coach, maybe one of the most creative offensive coaches in the history of basketball, who decided last year, we don't need centers anymore. Centers are antiquated. We don't need that. Could you imagine in hockey them say we don't need centers anymore? We're just going to play with 3 defensemen and 2 wingers. You know, a defenseman will take the face-offs. And, I mean, that's just so. So they're playing a new brand of basketball. I think the challenge is the Lakers are so big. They have so many big, strong guys. It will be a challenge. But you never know. Don't rule out. They got 2 MVPs on their team. You never know.
Individual talent war. Yeah, I know. I'll give you that. I know you're a hoop guy, so I really don't want to do it, and you're in LA, but I can't see. It's a pet peeve of mine. I think James Harden is probably the offensive talent that human being has is just. But you watch when he walks down the court with the ball, how the other 4 guys pretty much go sit and have a Slurpee somewhere else because they know they're not going to see it. So defending, okay, we just got to defend. Yeah, and he'll get rid of the ball and give to someone at the last second when they're not paying attention and they're having fries. So,
listen, when Westbrook played on Oklahoma, when I got into basketball, it was their first year in the league. And you can imagine Oklahoma had 5 guys, all under the age of 21. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. They had Serge Ibaka, who won Defensive Player of the Year that year. And they had Jeff Green. They had 5 guys under 21, and they almost made it to the finals. They almost won the championship their second year. So I'm not going to say that Westbrook can't win, can't be a champion. And then again, they almost won a few years later. Durant's last year with Oklahoma, they were up 4 games to 2, or 3 games to 2. So it's possible.
Well, the kicker is they didn't win. All right. Let's wrap you off. We're not both known for our basketball, but we love it. Last person you trained today?
Oh, Ariana Grande.
Sorry,
Ariana Grande.
I didn't hear you. Ariana Grande?
Ariana Grande, sorry. And then Benny Blanco.
Benny Blanco?
Benny Blanco. Benny's one of the biggest music producers in the industry. You got to Google this. He's one of the greatest guys in the world. He's just one of the biggest hearts, brilliant guy. He's got an afro. He's like a 5'5" Jewish guy with an afro. It's great.
What's training Ariana Grande like?
Oh, she's an angel. She's so talented, and she's very, very never late, ever late. And that tells you a lot about her work ethic.
Do you have like an exercise? Do you have a go-to exercise to give these people? Do you have anything like?
Yeah, it's called a Harley.
It's a Harley?
It's called a Harley. If you Google it, it's an exercise called the Harley exercise. So basically, it's a combination of 3 moves. You take a hip elastic, the band that goes around your thighs. You lie on the ground on your back. You put that over your thighs just above your knees, and you push your hips up to the ceiling. It's like a hip thrust. And then you've got dumbbells in your hands. So you're doing lying dumbbell tricep extension at the same time. So you've got your glutes, your glute maximus, you're working from the thrust. You've got your glute medius because the band is on, and your triceps, and you combine it all at once, and it's called the Harley.
I can name a drink after that. Harley sounds...
When I see you next, I will have a drink with you, and I'll be hammered halfway through. You'll see, I'm not a good drinker.
A couple more questions before we get to wrap it up. But you did mention the hotels before the Four Seasons. Is there a machine that you have to put in? Like you're like, listen, we have limited space. What's the machine you have to put in there?
Well, if you're looking at infomercials late at night, I've got my Slim Cycle, which is a stationary bike, $99. It's great. I would say a dual cable pulley. So it's a machine I helped develop when I was an undergrad. It's every single gym has them. It's like a cable crossover machine, but way smaller. Everyone makes it now, and I think for me that's a great piece of equipment because you can train almost your whole body. You can hang a TRX strap from the top of it. That, a set of dumbbells and a bench, and you're golden.
We'll put it up on our site later, but anything that you've created or sold, or what link is it under?
I have a product called Sweet Kick. It's only available in the US right now. It's a breath mint that turns off your mouth's ability to taste or enjoy sugar. I've got, I'm trying to think. We have another product coming out soon you can order called Form Life, FORMELIFE. It's like Peloton, but for your whole body. And it's available to order now online. And
Is it all under your website?
yeah, it's all there, all social media. And if anyone needs garden, go to my parents' website, fluidhose.com. They sell rubber hoses in Mississauga, Ontario.
What is your parents' website? What is it?
Fluidhose.com. No, that's it. But more importantly, Diabetes Hope Foundation.
Oh,
Both my brothers have type 1 diabetes. My family started a foundation in Canada about 20 years ago. It's called the Diabetes Hope Foundation. Does great things for kids with diabetes all through Canada.
That's awesome. I don't want to, before, just let people know, you're a 90s hip-hop artist fan. Favorite 90s artist, hip-hop artist?
Man, you know, Common is forever in there. Common is a dear friend. He marched in my wedding. He is hip-hop. You know, some people talk about hip-hop, sing hip-hop. He literally is hip-hop, I would say. Jay, Kanye, Slum Village, you know, Jay Dilla fans will know Slum is, and then a lot of neo-soul like Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, Michelle and the Giacello, that whole movement.
Favorite song for you? You had one song to work out to.
If I had one song to work out to...
Or how about this? That's not fair. One artist.
One artist to Kanye.
Kanye? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got...
It's just such a deep... He's got
everything.
hit after hit after hit after hit after... Even if you don't agree with his politics, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But musically...
All right, we're gonna. Our good friend Michelle is giving us the link. We're gonna put it up on after. And
awesome.
If you think about it, like 18 years old, or you're in Toronto, and now you got all those dentist plaques behind you. And we just mentioned Ariana Grande, Adam Levine, like you mentioned LL Cool J. Like it's a pretty surreal life. And I'm in Montreal. I love seeing Canadians kick ass anywhere in the world. And congratulations to everything that you're doing. And
what I wouldn't give for a sandwich from Schwartz's right now, what I wouldn't give for a St. Viateur bagel right now, or a coffee from Humble Lion on Sherbrooke right now, or Myriad, or Flacon. Man, and my favorite restaurant in the whole world is L'Express on Saint Denis.
L'Express? I was going to ask you, what's your favorite Toronto restaurant, LA restaurant, Montreal? So you've heard L'Express?
It's all about Montreal. Food, come on, man.
Okay.
Montreal.
I'm sending you a bagel. I'll send you a St. Viateur bagel. By the time you get it, after it's been held at the Bordeaux, but the thought is there. The thought is there. So
you know, I got them in my freezer.
Okay. I can't send you a freezer.
I don't have any left, but I usually stock them in my freezer.
I don't know how it's going to get to you, but it will. It's en route. So
and Jeff Bernstein, if you're watching this, you promised you would send me some smoked meat.
I'll put that on. Jeff Bernstein? Jeff is your boy? I know you got family in Côte St. Luc in Westmount.
Oh, yeah. Hampstead, Westmount, Dollard, everywhere. So, TMR.
Send the man some bagels. Send the man some bagels.
And smoked meat. And some real Montreal pickles.
And some real pickles. Yeah. I like the moisture pickles.
The best.
Yeah. Right.
And the moisture coleslaw.
Coleslaw. I know. I don't know how it's going to make it over the border, but the intention is to get it to you. I see your wife is on there on the treadmill. So thanks a ton for this.
Thanks.
Congratulations, man. It's so cool.
Thank you. Likewise.
Congratulations to your family and everything. And keep kicking ass in LA. And bagels are on the way.
Thanks, brother. All right.
And frozen the hour. Awesome, bud. Cheers.
All right.
Thanks, Harley.
Take care. Ciao.
Cheers, honey.